Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Married and Bored. We are so happy that you're here.
We are. I'm here too.
Oh, Christian's here. It's not often I start, is it?
No, it's not.
So, I'm really excited. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but this is going to be something a little bit new for us. We are going to be doing our first, hopefully of many, deep dive into a game that we have really been enjoying lately. Marvel Champions LCG by Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've been playing this a lot. We've been on the Fantasy Flight pre-order where you get a new pack every month, basically. And so it just keeps coming back into our lives, and we've been enjoying it.
Whether you like it or not, because I'm the one who's ordering them every month, unbeknownst to you.
Well,
you kind of assume it's happening.
And now we've got our kids into it. So it's just really taken up a lot of space in our lives, and we are not complaining. So we thought, what better way to celebrate that and acknowledge that than to do some podcasts, hopefully more than just one or two, into a deep dive of Marvel Champions. Anything to say about that, Chris?
Yeah, I think, like Angela said, we were just looking for a space to talk about it more than just like a 5-minute, hey, we're playing Marvel Champions this week, in our regular
format.
Yep, that's the word. It's huge brain fart just then. Yeah, and so we thought, you know what, let's just try this out. There's a lot of excitement here in the house. I think for me right now, what's been fun about the whole Marvel Champions experience is that we started from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's so easy when you're able to do that. And we've been able to keep up. It's relatively cheap to do so. Mm-hmm. It's $15 a month, which is a Netflix subscription, or it's, what is it, 1.5 cups of coffee these days.
An Audible subscription, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, for some people that's a lot of money, and we understand that, but for us it's just we've been able to do that, and it's something to look forward to in the gaming world, and it just keeps bringing us back to this game.
And for our past year of COVID intensity, it's been our entertainment. And so $15 a month was, for us, a small price to pay for entertainment because we weren't going out much.
Yeah, that's very true. There were some delays, obviously, with everything. And so, everybody, their whole schedule got pushed back a few months. And so we're getting now what we should have gotten in November. But you know what? Whatever. We'll cut them some slack. Hopefully everyone else does too. But yeah, we're just looking again for that space to talk about it. Angela, what right now, why are you liking Marvel Champions so much?
Oh, well, I think part of it is just because our kids, not only have they been able to play with us, but they've just been, what's the right word? Immersed, I guess, in the Marvel world. So we've been watching the movies, and we have Marvel Splendor, and we've actually had Marvel Munchkin for a long time, pre-kids.
Yeah, I think I either bought that on a whim or was given that as a gift.
But it's been sitting in the shelf of shame or the closet.
Well, it is Munchkin, and it's not that great of a game.
Right.
Sorry if you love it, but we're looking forward to maybe giving that another try once both our kids can read. Mm-hmm. One of them can't right now, and so that's always a problem, especially with Marvel Champions. But now, as we played more, he just knows what the cards look like.
Yes.
And so he knows, oh, get over here, and he says it like Thor, and he plays it. So it's fun.
So that's what's gotten me excited. And then for us, WandaVision has gotten me excited. The kids they're not interested in that show, so they don't watch it with us. Plus, selfishly, we don't want them bothering us during that show.
It's special time.
So we've been just immersed in the Marvel world. And so that always just brings a game more to life, right? When you can visualize being that character, or you've been reading the comics on your iPad. and then you are just brought into that world. And our son, on his birthday the end of last year, we gave him a Marvel encyclopedia, which has been, I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's true.
Yes, so that's why I've been enjoying it. What about you?
I think for all the reasons above, and I think recently one of my favorite things is that we've kind of turned a corner in this game. It only took 15 months since the release of this game for us to be like, oh my gosh, we're kind of good at it now. But yeah, everything is making a lot more sense now in this game.
Yes.
And whether it's just the number of plays that we actually have on it, or maybe it's the one number of plays with just one character. I am notorious for not sticking to one thing in a game. I always want to look for something new. And so, like, which this game is perfect for because you get new characters all the time. And I would always just jump to the new ones. I haven't done that recently. I haven't played Wasp ever, I don't think. And then Quicksilver is another new guy. I played him once, maybe. And then we're eagerly awaiting Scarlet Witch in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not like dying to play it. I'm just more interested in the new cards that I could use in my favorite character, Ant-Man, right now. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So because of the popularity of Marvel across all platforms of media, there are so many new people jumping into this game. And so I guess I'll just say we are not experts at this game at all. But we like talking about games, hopefully in a very easy manner, in an understandable way. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to just kind of give our thoughts on what we think a Marvel Champions 101 would be.
Yes.
Anything to add?
No, that's what I would say. So we are going to be talking about this game as if you either have no idea what we're talking about, or maybe you've heard of it and haven't bought it, or maybe you have just bought it. And then if you have been playing it for a while, just listen and tell us what you think about any of the things we mentioned. See if you have stuff to add, or if you agree or disagree, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So, Christian, can we back up a step, and can you explain for everyone, what is an LCG? What does that stand for?
Yeah, so you're looking at this game because everyone's talking about it, and you're like, okay, I want to play this Marvel card game. What the heck is an LCG? So LCG, really quickly, is short for Living Card Game. It is something that I believe Fantasy Flight Games made up for card games a few years ago. The difference between a living card game and a regular, like, collectible card game is that when you buy a pack of a living card game, every pack is exactly the same. So if you buy Captain America, I buy Captain America, we are getting the exact same cards, as opposed to Pokemon, Magic,
Destiny,
Destiny. RIP. You don't know what you're going to get in those booster packs. They're much cheaper. You get 5-6 at a time. Well, in Destiny you did, but maybe 12 to 15 in those other packs. But you don't know what you're doing. You're chasing rare cards. You're trying to find the best. I don't play those games, so I don't even know I know what I'm looking for, but I don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Right. So there's really no competition in trying to find the best cards out there
when you're playing an LCG.
Correct. So that kind of puts everybody at the same level no matter what.
Right.
Which is awesome.
So back when we started this in the fall of 2019, we bought the core set. And if you buy the core set, you have the same core set that we have.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And that's the main difference between an LCG and a CCG?
There's CCGs, TCGs, GGGs, BGGs. There's a lot. But yeah, so I mean, most everybody who's listening probably knows that, but we wanted to just explain it. So no matter what, everyone's getting the same cards. What makes this one even better, whatever.
It's in our very humble opinion.
So this one is also cooperative. And so again, it takes that competition out of it where, man, I'm trying to make this deck of Aragorn cards, talking about Lord of the Rings LCG or something, so that I can beat yours. Or that's a bad example now that I think about it, but you get the idea. Where I'm trying, even though we have the same cards, we can make our deck differently so that we go head to head and fight.
Okay.
This one, everyone's making their deck differently, but you play against the game together. So like, maybe I'm not as optimized. I'm not a min-maxer, if you're familiar with that term. You can still survive this game and have a good time. Mm-hmm. Like that probably hits home for you.
Yeah. I love that it's cooperative. It's funny because I always knew it was cooperative. And from the minute we got the game in the fall of 2019.
On release, whenever that was, yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember a few months go by and I asked you, Christian, this was pre-COVID, I said, why don't they ever do tournaments for Marvel Champions? And you looked at me like, well, how would they do that? It's cooperative. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. I just never linked that to the tournament aspect of like all these games that are in tournaments are competitive.
Yeah, because I had gone to a couple for like Destiny and come back with some like sweet promos.
Yes.
Which are available in this game. We'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, that's a funny thing that just doesn't happen with these types of games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you buy the core set. We're going to talk a little bit about what is in that. Christian, you want to explain what you're getting when you buy the core set of Marvel Champions, which we highly recommend.
You kind of need it. It has everything that you need to play the game. It's going to give you your chips and bits and cards and everything you need to run the game, if that makes sense.
This is where you want to start. Marvel Champions 101.
Start here.
Buy the core set.
And it's fairly inexpensive. It's like $40. And you get a lot, to be honest. You get 5 heroes. You get 3 villains. And here's something I don't know. I don't know if there are what's called extra modular sets in the core set. I'm sure there is. You get a ton of stuff. You get all the tokens. You get the status cards. You get the hero cards. You are set for, honestly, quite a while with just the core set, which is really cool.
If you are curious, the 5 heroes that you get are She-Hulk, Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel. The 3 villains that you get are Rhino, Claw, and Ultron. If those names or characters mean nothing to you, that's fine. You can get to know them.
As we did. We knew Rhino and we knew Ultron from the movie. Claw was one that we didn't really know. We realized that he was in the Black Panther movie, but way different.
Right.
Based on the comic book version. But yeah, that's what he's from.
And then we mentioned in the beginning of the episode that you can buy individual packs. So there is an actual campaign, like another box set.
Yeah, there's a big box expansion that they call the campaign. If you're familiar with the Arkham horror card game, very similar. They have stories, bigger campaigns that are released, and then boosters based on those stories. So this one that they released about a year ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Is Rise of Red Skull. So it kind of expands everything. You get more heroes, more bad guys, more ways to play, which is always great. And if you were like us for the first year, more ways to lose.
Right. So if you're just starting now, I would, on Marvel Champions, or just hearing about it or just choosing to purchase the core set. And then, if some character in the Marvel world really appeals to you, you're like, oh, I need to have Hulk. then just buy Hulk individually,
Yeah,
and
that's a
along
good
with
point.
along with your core set. And then if that makes you more excited, if you don't know or feel especially drawn to a particular character or villain, then just start with the core set and you'll have plenty to play with. It's just you can buy hero or villain packs to make it that much more exciting or intriguing if you want to start out, but you don't have to have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And every pack that you add just adds more customization to your character, to the potential bad guy that you're playing. So it doesn't hurt
Yeah.
to buy those. So why don't we talk a little bit about? So we talked about building a deck. Well, we didn't really mention building a deck, but you're gonna build the deck like any card game, and then you're gonna fight the bad guy. This game is very unique in how they do that. Do you want to explain a little bit on how to build a deck in Marvel Champions?
Yeah, so I think, I'm not sure if this is going back too far. You tell me if you want me to wait. But the idea is that you'll be fighting either solo or as a team of heroes, a villain. And this villain is going to try to either attack, punch the health out of you, and get your health down to 0.
Thought you were gonna say something else there.
No, health. Health. Oh, goodness. And then, or another way that the villain could win is it could scheme you to death.
Ooh, scheme.
Which just thematically is the game's way of saying that this villain is plotting to do evil things and you're not trying to stop it. And it accumulates so much that the heroes lose.
Yeah, it's like a timer.
And then there's only one way for the heroes to win, and that is to just punch the villain to death.
Beat the villain down.
Yes. So there's 2 ways for the heroes to lose. And you don't continue fighting if you're playing multiplayer and not solo. You don't continue fighting if someone dies. So there are some games like that where you, like cooperative games, where you can still win as a team.
Yeah, finish the round.
Yeah. Even if someone on the team dies, this is not one of those. So if Hulk dies, you're done. That's it.
If Hulk dies, you are done because he should not die.
So that's just an example. If someone on your team dies, you are done. And obviously, if you're solo and you die, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
So that's overview. We're not going to be talking about how to play, but just that will maybe make more sense if you've never played this game, with things that we're going to be referencing later on as we go further into what you need to know about Marvel Champions.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you bring home the core set. Maybe you bring home a character pack or a villain pack. And then you're going to notice that there's character cards and there's also aspect cards. So do you want to talk about how to put those decks together?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this game, and one of my least favorite things about other games, is deck building. Mm-hmm. I am not good at it. I don't want to take the time to do it. I am 100% a net decker. I will go online and find a deck that someone else spent the time doing.
Well, it's so daunting too.
It is. And because I know that everyone can do it better than I can, so I'll just take their word for it. And if you have a bunch of reviews on your deck, I'm gonna play it.
But you know what I like about this one, which you might be getting to, is that you can do that, but you don't have to. Like, you bring home the core set and it tells you.
Yeah, it gives you pre-constructed decks with every pack with the core set. It's really great. And even with the core set, it says play these 2 heroes first because they're the easiest.
Yep.
And that really helps. So you're gonna have a character. Each character comes with their own unique cards, which is really awesome. So again, Angela buys Captain America. I buy Captain America. We have those same cards. Every character has 15 cards that go in there. Now the rest of them, up to 25 extra ones, they come from what is called in this game aspects, and that is, you can think of it as like a class from a video game. There is one called aggression, which is aggressive.
Just like it sounds.
It's aggro, so you're going to stuff and hit hard. There's one called protection, which is the opposite. You're going to beef yourself up. There is one called leadership, which is unique for this one, which uses allies, which allows you to boost up the allies from your cards to help you fight.
Mm-hmm. You get helpers that could potentially take damage for you.
Yep, exactly. Or do damage.
Or do
the
for
thwarting. And then there's justice, which Angela mentioned that the villain is going to scheme and plan behind the scenes. There is an aspect in this game called justice, which reduces that.
Yes. It's the hero's way of taking away the villain's scheming power.
Slowing him down.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there are neutral cards, like every game you've played. They have neutral cards, which you can always add to, and they're great. Most of them. But it's very simple. You just take... You could look at it as this. You take your character card, that's 15. You get 20 or so of your aspect cards. Pick 5 or so neutrals. Boom, 40 cards. Let's go.
Yes.
And you're good to go.
Most decks you'll find out there are 40. I think the max is 50. So if you're anywhere between 40 and 50, that's great. We'll probably hint later on, and maybe even in future episodes of our Marvel Champions deep dive, about why you'd want to be closer to 40 than 50. But anywhere between 40 and 50 is what they call okay
ideal.
In the rule book.
Yeah, it has to be at least 40, no more than 50.
Yes.
So it's a lot of information, obviously, that we're throwing down, but hopefully by us explaining it, it helps a lot. I've really enjoyed this aspect of the game because it does strip out a lot of confusion or the intimidation factor of deck building. I have made my own deck. I mentioned that I don't like doing it, but I've done it. Mm-hmm. And our kids, for whatever reason, think this is the best part of this game.
Yes.
They just they take like the aggression cards and they just flip through them all and they're like, "Oh, I want this one. I want this one." Now, they don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But they know the rules and they can do it, which is pretty impressive and kind of a testament to how easy it really could be.
Now, for me, I was particularly daunted by the deck building aspect of Star Wars Destiny. So if you're feeling that way, just as we talk about this, I do want to say that there's aids that we'll talk about, like Christian mentioned, looking up stuff online.
Well, yeah, we might as well mention it now because we're talking about building decks, right? So
yes.
Where do we go and what should they definitely check out?
So first of all, just know that you can buy the core set and honestly any hero pack and it's ready to go. It has the character plus an aspect with the requisite number of cards and you can just play that deck. You don't have to look up anything.
No.
If you don't want to. So please don't feel overwhelmed by that. Just get into the game. And I think from our experience, the more you play the game, the more you'll think, oh, I wonder if I had a different card here, if that would be more helpful. Or I find that I don't really use this card when I play Spider-Man. Maybe I should substitute out for a different card. But that's after plays over and over again. So you don't have to worry about that at first if you don't want to.
For sure.
We use a website called Marvel CDB. If you do Google Marvel CBD, which is different, it will still probably bring you to Marvel CDB.
Yeah, card database.
There is no Marvel CBD that we know of that will make you a superhero. Sorry.
We've tried and looked.
So Marvel Card Database has been great for us. We don't even sign in. To sign in, that would be just your way of creating decks and posting them.
I have an account.
Well, I don't sign in.
Oh.
I just look for. Christian does sign in. I don't. I just look for decks. You can search by the classes we were just talking about: aggression, justice, protection, leadership.
Yep.
You can be very specific about cards you want to include in that deck, or maybe you just want, okay, I know I want to play Captain America, and I know I want him to be leadership, but I have no idea what to include in that deck. All you have to do is type in Captain America, type in or pull down on the drop down that you want it to be leadership, hit search, and you're going to see all these decks that people have created.
Here's something why you might want to sign up for this site is as you're doing that search in your profile, you can select what your inventory is. So you can go down the list and say, I have the core set, I have Hulk, and I have Quicksilver. And then when you pull up a deck, it'll tell you, hey, in order to get these cards that are listed here, you might need to buy this.
Oh, good point. Yes.
Not a huge deal. You'll still survive without having everything.
Right. So that is a good point because it's not something we often think of because, as Christian mentioned, we got in on this at the ground level, so to speak, and we've kept up with it monthly. We have all the cards. But if you're just starting now and you search the Marvel card database website, you might get a deck that includes cards that you don't have yet. Mm-hmm. And so if you do sign up, that's a good point. You can filter out what you don't have yet.
Yep.
Anything more to say about how we build decks?
No, I don't think so. Have fun with it. Try whatever.
Yeah.
I think... And the great thing about it that we didn't actually mention is that each character can play with any of those aspects.
Yes.
So you can play with Spider-Man with any of those 4 aspects in the core set. You know, people online and us will say Spider-Man is really good at maybe 2 out of the 4. He can still play 4 out of the 4, but he excels at specific ones. And you'll figure that out as you play. We did, and we like Spider-Man. Our son loves Spider-Man.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel limited. I like that you just said have fun. Doctor Strange, as a hero pack, came with protection. I don't like playing him with protection. I like playing him with leadership, and that's just my preference. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have to be bound by that aspect that he came with. I can play him leadership. And we actually just found a deck that was posted on the Marvel card database website that's called Silver Thor.
Silver Thor.
And so it's just the 15 Thor cards with a whole bunch of neutrals. No class whatsoever.
It's pretty cool.
So there's no aggression, justice, protection, or leadership. It's just all the Thor cards plus neutrals. So it's so interesting what people can do. People are kind of raving about that deck.
See, I would never have thought of that, which is why I love this website.
Yes. And then in case you didn't quite clue into it the first time Christian mentioned it, you can always add a neutral no matter what the class you choose is. Mm-hmm. The only maybe thing we should mention is that with the exception of one hero, Spider-Woman, you can only have cards from one aspect. So I can't choose leadership and protection.
Yep. They're going to make characters that break that rule. They already have one.
They already have one.
There's one more coming. And, you know, it's just the rules with these card games are meant to be broken eventually.
Yes.
Like, it seems so easy now. And then I'm sure a year from now, they'll be like, well, this guy, you can put whatever cards you want in there. And it's like, okay, well, let's do it.
If they were jumping in right now, that is a pretty hard and fast rule.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the best rules of this game, honestly. Makes it so easy again.
Again, yes, not so much to think about. All right, so we are going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and tell you about things that we've learned over this 15 or so months of playing, like tips that we wish we had known earlier, and some accessories that we love that go with this game. This episode is sponsored by Showit. Are you stuck in a boring website template? Maybe you don't even know where to start. Experience the true creative freedom with the drag and drop simplicity of a Showit website. Our website, marriedandbored.com, is a Showit website, and we love how simple it is to create. Get started for free at showit.co. You won't be disappointed.
All right, guys. So in this section of the episode, we wanted to just kind of go through some tips and tricks or forgotten rules and stuff you forget while playing this game. Stuff that we have figured out in the past few months that really brought the game to another level for us.
Yes.
Angela loves reading rule books for some reason. And we've read the rule books, we've read the rules reference many times. Like, we're looking up stuff constantly, and we just wanted to mention a few things that we always forget, and now that we haven't forgotten them as often, it just really makes everything better.
Yes.
So one of the big things that we have really keyed in on in the past few months is the mulligan.
Ooh.
Depending on who your character is, you get a certain number of cards at the beginning of the game. And the way mulligan works on this in this game is you pick what you want and then you discard the rest. You don't get to shuffle them back in. So knowing your character and knowing what is good and what you want from your character is key.
Yes. So if you don't, it's just a way of when you draw your starting hand, let's say your character gets 6 cards to draw on their starting hand. If you don't like 1 to all 6 of those cards, they're not what you're looking for, discard them and draw more cards up to the 6 that you're supposed to have.
Yep.
And you can do that once. As Christian mentioned, you can't shuffle them back in. But we'll go through a little bit later in this section of why that's not super bad.
Yeah, I think we just go right into it. I think don't be afraid to go through your deck.
Yes.
There's no penalty to do so. I always think about this when we first got this game because I constantly would cycle through my deck as we played this game. I would play cards and discard cards all the time when we were playing together. Mm-hmm. And then I'd look over at Angela and she has drawn like 12 cards
Total.
out of her whole deck. And I'm like, what? Like, what's going on?
So here was my hang up on that, which I now think is so silly. So if you've played Marvel Champions for a while, or maybe you're just starting it and you've already clued in on this, forgive me. But it took me a long time.
Tell the story.
My hang up was just that I would draw a card and I would know it's good, but it wasn't good for right now. But I would feel like I need to hang on to it, because if I discard it, I'm never going to see it again. And that's a good card. Well, here's the advice I would give Angela now.
2019 Angela?
Yes, I would say the whole point of this game is to get the cards that you need when you need them. The cards in your deck are all good. Hence, why they're in your deck. Mm-hmm. You've chosen, or the game has chosen for you, or Marvel's CDB website has chosen for you, the best 40 to 50 cards for that person. So none of the cards are bad. It's just that it's all about, are you drawing them when you need to draw them?
Yep.
And if you're not, discard a, quote, good card, because guess what? You will go through your deck at least once during a very good playthrough.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where that 40 card deck limit comes in. So a lot of card games out there, they say the minimum is 60 cards. And it's that's just so many cards to get through in a game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to Lord of the Rings card game, which I think is 60. Mm-hmm. And that is a game where I would just draw 3 cards every game, and I would have no idea why.
Yeah.
And so because it's 40, you're going to go through it faster. You discard that really great web kick Spider-Man card on the first turn of the game because it doesn't make sense.
Or maybe it's too expensive.
You're gonna get it. There's another one in there, and you're gonna get it back. It's not the end of the world.
Yep.
So be okay with that. What's another one, Ange?
Okay, well, I want to quick go back and touch on the mulligan.
Oh,
And that was that there are certain cards that you'll find out, and we're not going to go through what they are for each character.
no.
But you'll find out when you play, there are certain cards that are significantly, well, what should I say? Maybe super important
Yeah.
to start the game with.
Yeah, or get very early on in the
yeah.
game. You're going to have a much better time if you get them out earlier rather than later. Here's a quick tip. If it's a character card, if it's one of your 15 cards, it's probably really good.
Yes.
And you probably want to play it.
Yes. So if you've never played this game, this might not mean anything to you right now, but I'm just going to give an example to put like concrete language around it. So there is a cloak for Doctor Strange. You want to get that super early. So if I'm playing Doctor Strange and I don't have his cloak in my starting hand, chances are I'm mulliganing at least one card, if not my whole hand, to try to burn through the deck and get that cloak. Not because the cards I drew were bad, but just because I need to get to that cloak fast.
It gives you so much more potential for later.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of this idea of like setting up your character. And now for everyone, there's a helmet for Ant-Man that's pretty important.
Yeah, it's really great.
Or, there's a helmet for Thor that's important to some people. You'll find out when you go through, there's upgrades for Black Panther that are super important. That you just want to play early on and not have to worry about finding them later on in the game.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's when the mulligan is great.
Yes.
When we first started, was not a big mulliganer. Is that
No.
a word? I would just take what I get.
We both
and
were.
then I would just be like, all right, these aren't bad cards, so let's just see what we can do. But knowing to try to get some cards cycling quicker, you're gonna get what you want quicker. So, like, if you have 40 cards and you mulligan your whole hand at the beginning, and you draw another 6 cards, that's 12 cards. That's I can't do math, but it's
more than
25% of the
quarter
deck.
of your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's only going to help you. So
Yes.
okay. Let's jump to another one.
Another tip.
One unique aspect of this game is your hero. Your hero has 2 forms. You are either the hero, all costumed up and ready to go, ready to fight.
The Marvel superhero, or
You're the alter ego, so you're Peter Parker doing science at class. And a part of the game is flipping your double-sided hero card back and forth, and they do different things. Knowing when to do that, realizing what happens when you do, is important.
yes, the timing of that is key. And there's no hard and fast rules about when it's appropriate to do that or best to do that. It's just something that you have to feel out through repeated gameplay and with each villain. So it's not like Christian and I can give you tips like, hey, every third turn you're going to want to flip. It's not like that.
It's just a reaction to the game.
Yes, so you're going to want to be reacting to the game. Maybe there's a time when you're looking at, if you're not playing solo, when you're looking at the other people around the table, since you're all working together, and you see that everyone is a hero. So maybe that would be a good time for you to change to alter ego, which is your regular form, so to speak.
Human form.
Human form. Or maybe your human form does something special for you that you can't do as a hero. Or maybe you need to heal and you've taken too much damage.
That is how you heal in this game. You take off your suit and you rest.
And you rest. And the villain can't hit you when you're a human, but they can plot against you, which is where the scheming comes in. So figuring out that dance of when to flip, and especially if you're not solo, if you're playing multiplayer, figuring out how to do that as a team is really key.
Yeah, and I think what will help that too is like you mentioned playing solo. I know a lot of people play this game solo, but they'll play it two-handed so that they have two cards or two sets of cards to help each other with, if that makes sense.
So they're playing as if they're two people.
Yeah, they're just playing two decks of cards with one person. And so like that's a great way to learn when and when not to do the flip. Angela and I are still kind of figuring that one out. It's not always perfect. Like I'll be like, all right, I'm staying hero form. I have 4 health. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And then I just get smashed with 7, like a 7 damage, and that's the game. And if I would have flipped, we probably would have lasted 3-4 more rounds. So,
well, something that's helped both of us learn this better, even though admittedly we're not experts, is watching our kids who are terrible at that. I mean, I say it kind of like in a funny way, but also seriously, like to watch someone who for sure can't do it right, you start thinking, oh, that's when they should have flipped. And then that's how you kind of learn, like, or that's how I've been learning. Oh, okay, if all of us are human right now, this villain is going to scheme
a lot. And it's going to hit that limit and the game will be over, or the next phase will kick in when we don't want it to.
So I start thinking of that when I'm watching the kids play, and that helps me. You know how they say the mark of really understanding something is being able to teach it. And so when I can point out to the kids why they should have changed form, that's like, oh, I'm kind of getting it now. Like I'm getting when we should flip and when would be a good time to do that. And you mentioned kind of that teamwork aspect. So maybe that's a good time to go into how, which I think has been the key of our success recently, is supporting each other.
What? In a co-op game?
Don't laugh. This is something that took us so long to figure out. It is laughable, honestly.
Well, yeah, so many games, and honestly, if the rules aren't clear, like that's something that we just struggle with because you love rules.
I do love rules.
And so, like, interpreting it in a way that helps us, there's always a question in the house of like, but is that the right way to do it? You're like, and that's fine. That's just what we've struggled with this game, and we've dug into it a little bit more and realized, like, yeah, supporting each other. You can ask for actions from your fellow players. And I think that's where the two-handed solo play comes in. That helps out.
So
if you're playing solo. So like if I have a card that I can use that is exhaust this card to gain 1 resource. If I am in alter ego form and I don't need to use it and it's still unexhausted by the time it gets to Angela's turn, you could say, hey, can I use that card? And I would say, no.
Well, you would share. And I don't think there actually is an alter ego resource action.
No,
it would be a hero action. Okay. But yeah, you could share that resource.
Yes.
So that's one way. You can also defend for each other. So
yeah. This is a funny one because I don't think we figured this one out yet. Defending for each other is hard.
I think we've done a really good job recently.
With allies, yes.
And
but with characters, it's so like hit or miss for me. Because there's always a time to defend, and then you're like, oh wait, there's an encounter card. Crap. I'm going to get hit hard.
So you can, if there is someone who's really struggling health-wise on the hero team, you can step in as another hero, not as a human alter ego, but as a hero, and you can take the damage for them.
Yep.
So can your allies. not just their allies, like the people they have, but if they have no one in their play area that's an ally for them, you are their ally. So you can step in and take it for them.
Yeah.
That's been really key for us as well. And then maybe lastly is just to think of who you're playing against. This game comes in many different villains can play the game, so to speak. So you're always playing against the game, but that game can be different depending on who the villain is.
Yeah, and I think that's key in, like, we would just, I think, maybe think of it this way. We would decide who we wanted to be as a hero first, and then just pick a villain. Maybe it might help a little bit to get familiar with the villains, and then pick a hero on who do you think would, like, work best to defeat that.
Yes, agreed.
Now, you can definitely do it either way, but somebody like Ultron has a ton of minions. A ton. You know who's good at minions? Thor is good at minions. So you might want to play Thor. Or you might want more of a challenge and not play Thor and play Iron Man for some reason against Ultron. And you're still going to have a good time. And it's just going to be a different challenge.
And I think that maybe as long as you know that, that's the key, just knowing that the villains act different.
Yeah. And I think that for whatever reason, like, we knew that in our heads, but we didn't act like we knew that. We're like, I'm playing Spider-Man and I'm playing Justice.
Yeah.
And then, like, Spider-Man, Justice, maybe he doesn't do good against Claw from the core set. And we were struggling hard.
And yeah, and maybe you do just want to play. I think we did that because we were so into the idea of being a certain hero.
Yeah.
Which,
that's true.
Hey, I get it. Like that immerses you in the world. Like, I just want to be Spider-Man. But maybe we should have then thought, okay, who would Spider-Man be good against? So that we gave ourselves a good challenge instead of like a really hard challenge.
Yeah, especially as you're just getting started too.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then also think if you're playing more than solo, or more than one-handed solo, what heroes work well together.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can play two heroes that both have an aggression aspect. You can do that. There's no rule against that. But then think about what you're missing. If both of you are hitters, no one can remove the scheme from the villain.
Yep.
No one can...
You better be able to hit for a lot.
Yeah.
Before the villain can get his timers up.
Yeah. So you might want to play different aspects so that you are more well-rounded.
Yeah, I would recommend that for sure.
And so you're learning all those things when you think about who the villain is. And then you know what? There's just, no matter how many times you play it, there's just going to be some villains that are just harder. And no matter what hero you are. Yeah,
definitely. And if you have the core set kind of walks you through. Start with Rhino. He just hits hard, and that's all he does. And then Claw is a little bit more difficult, a little bit more to deal with Claw. And then Ultron, the final guy in the core set, he's the hardest one. And to be honest, I think we've played him maybe like 4 times, just because we've gotten a lot more...
a lot more villains.
A lot more villains since the core set, and we weren't really ready for Ultron at the time because we were losing so much.
We hadn't figured out all these things we're telling you.
And so, like, we're like, there's no point in playing Ultron. We're going to get worked.
Right.
And we've played him since, and I don't think we've beaten him, but we know what we're doing just that much more.
Well, I've beaten him solo, but it was with Thor.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Thor's good with minions.
Thor's good with minions.
Yeah. So that's cool. I think that's what we wish we knew when we first started.
Yes.
Hopefully these tips and tricks kind of help you get started in this game. If you're listening and you're like, I have a tip and trick that helped me, definitely let us know.
Yes.
Email us at hello@marriedandbored.com or reach out on our Instagram. We'd love to share those with anybody who's listening. And obviously, we want to know what they are too, because we probably forgot about it as well.
Yeah, we haven't reached the epitome of playthrough. We're ready to learn some more too.
Yeah. So let's wind down the show and just talk about some fun things with this game.
Yeah.
There are so many accessories with board games out there right now. Etsy shops, promos,
all
Add-ons.
player mats, add-ons, sleeves. Let's just talk about what our favorite ones are that we've purchased for this game, because we do play it. We do play it a lot.
Yes. So I would just say right at the beginning, if all of these things are what Christian just said, add-ons. You do not need any of these things to start the game. These are just things that once we found out we liked the game, we chose to buy.
They enhance the experience.
To enhance it.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you tell them about your art box?
My art box. So this is my favorite one that I've bought. There are a lot of cards in this game. The core set has little card dividers, and it works awesome. Now, as we started getting more and more and more cards, that little divider thing just didn't work. I bought an art box from Hobby Lobby / Michaels, and I went to Broken Token, and they have a card divider specifically for that art box. Go check it out. We'll put links,
in the blog.
In the blog and the show notes so that you guys can check this out and post it on Instagram. But I've had a lot of fun. I don't like to organize things. Angela can attest to that. I'm looking at my desk right now where we're recording, and I see a pack of gum, a company credit card. Sorry, guys.
What is
if
this
you're listening.
gel stuff you've got here?
I've got this gel stuff which helps me clean electronics.
Oh.
It gets all the dust in between keyboard keys.
Look at that, just sitting there.
I've got a knife. I've got candy. I've got D&D dice.
Some random hero clicks.
I've got some minis I want to paint. PlayStation. Like there's a bunch of crap on my desk. So it's I Spy right now. But I like organizing this game into this card box, and it makes just storage of it nice.
Yeah.
You like organization.
Yeah.
What do you think about that box?
Yeah, this was actually something that you just started. You went out and bought it, and were convinced of before I even knew really what you were doing, and that I was pleasantly surprised by how neatly it stores everything, and the inserts from Broken Token go nicely inside this wooden, it's supposed to be an art box.
Yeah, you're supposed to put paintbrushes and all that junk.
But we have made it a Marvel Champions box, and it closes like a briefcase. So when you bring it out to play, you feel really badass.
Oh, okay. Yes. You're like, what is this? What is this documents that you're bringing us? And you're like, no, this is nerd cards.
And then, okay, so the art box is wonderful for us. It has like 5 columns maybe that we've created, and within the columns we can separate the decks by heroes, by the aspects,
Yep.
by all those stuff, and then we have room in there also for the tokens and the dials,
Yeah.
and the stuff that comes in the core set.
Yep.
And to further organize, we buy sleeves for our cards.
Yeah, I'm not usually I don't sleeve every game that we have. We have a lot of games.
Yeah.
I do not like shuffling brand new cards. Like, that just hurts my head. It hurts my soul when I open a new game and it's like, shuffle this deck and you have to like bend the cards. I don't like that. Especially if it's a game that you're going to be shuffling a lot of cards on. Like, eventually those cards are just going to fall apart. So we bought sleeves for this game, or I bought sleeves for this game.
Mm-hmm. And so that keeps the cards...
Just keeps them nice, keeps them straight and stiff, and I decided to sleeve them. A lot of people are doing clear back sleeves with this game because a lot of the cards are double-sided. I should have done that, probably, looking back on it. But I had a ton of just white sleeves, and so I was like, I'm just going to put the heroes in there. So I put all the heroes in the white sleeves. And then I decided to do a different color for the villains. I chose orange because that's the card back for all the villains is orange. So I've got to divide it into colors so that you know what kind of card you're getting. So that's just the way I do it. You don't have to do it that way. I'm debating whether it's worth sleeving everything right now because you don't use everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's some cards that aren't just that good that you're not going to maybe ever use. And if the off chance that you do use it, just put it in a sleeve and take one old one out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure that out. Do you guys do that? I don't know. What should we do?
And tell them how you like how the hero alter ego, the ones that are double-sided, you've bought special sleeves.
Oh
for.
yeah, so like the hero cards I think are really nice and they're unique. They're cool to look at. I bought I don't even know what they're called. They're like
Acrylic? They're
Yeah.
like heavy plastic?
yeah, I remember them from my baseball card collecting days, and you put really nice baseball cards in these like plastic sleeves, and they're bigger, they're more square. Again, we'll link to them. They're Ultra Pro something hard card case. I don't know, but I put all the heroes in those just because they're clear on both sides. You can flip them over. It keeps the hero cards looking good.
And we have special sleeves for 2 heroes, Ant-Man and Wasp, that you have purchased because those characters can get giant.
Yeah, those are very fun cards. They are foldable, so you open them up and there's giant Ant-Man. And it's really fun to do that. Now when you're playing with it, the cards don't lay flat or they don't close all the way when you put them in book mode. And so it's just a funny thing. It's obviously not necessary, but I found somebody on Etsy that had a double-sided giant card. And so I bought it, and it works well.
And we'll have to show you some pictures
Yep.
if you've never seen it before. You can see them on our blog. We've, through our friendly local game store, we've gotten promo cards.
Promo cards are cool. You can definitely find those if you're interested in some alt art cards.
Yep. And a mat, I think we got there
Yeah, I got
early
it.
on.
Yeah, that was very cool. We don't use that.
We don't when we play the game, but we definitely, I think we've used it for other games.
Probably, for sure. And we have a
it's
whole
just
table mat that we just don't ever put out.
Yeah.
We should to probably make it a little bit nicer, but
Yeah.
you know, when we were trying to play a game quickly, we don't want to set up the whole thing and tear it all down. And
Yes. And one more thing that we've gotten is totally random. I was at the Dollar Tree not even looking for game stuff. I mean,
why would you?
Why would I look there for game stuff? I was looking for my kids probably. And I was in the craft section and they have at our Dollar Tree, hopefully at yours too, they had, I think what they called like miniature craft storage containers. Mm-hmm. They're small and they fit the tokens that come with this game perfectly. So we have 3 of them where we've separated the 3 different kinds of tokens.
Yeah, it
and
works.
they store in the box nicely. And so that was $3 total.
It works really well.
Mm-hmm.
And these Dollar Tree containers have been like the MVP of like our board game organization.
Yeah, not just Marvel Champions.
We've bought probably like 6 packs of these. And it's $6. And it's crazy how many. I'll open a game we haven't played in a very long time. And I'm like, oh, there's the Dollar Tree container. And they work awesome. Go to Dollar Tree. We'll post about it. They will change your board game life.
Yes.
So let's wrap it up. Marvel Champions 101. Any last things you want to say about it, Angela?
Oh, it's just there's so much to unpack in this game. It can be, I think it's a great game to just start playing and just start with what the game offers if you're daunted by creating a deck, and just keep playing.
Yeah, make mistakes.
Have fun, play characters that excite you, play with people that you enjoy. And even if that's just yourself sometimes,
That's right.
that's okay. That's me too. And then you, through plays, you'll just discover what is good and what you like. And we'll be back hopefully with another episode to dive deeper into the heroes themselves and what we've discovered about the individual heroes.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, we are just looking for more time to talk about this game again.
Yes.
And we're going to talk, hopefully in a few weeks, talk about it some more. We love to hear from you always. So if you're new to Marvel Champions vet, or just want to talk Marvel Champions, or say that we're wrong about something, which we could be.
That's
We
fine
don't-
too, guys.
We don't know everything about this game. let us know. Hello at marriedandbored.com, at marriedandbored on Instagram. And you know what? I think that'll do it. I hope if you're looking into Marvel Champions, we kind of convinced you to push you over the edge and go and buy it. If you do that, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. I think that's it.
Yes. And remember, with great power comes
yes.
great responsibility.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram at marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time.